Hey guys, I got something incredibly special for you today. I brought along my business partner and COO here at Net Revenue, who has been with us since pretty much the very beginning of the business. And throughout the last 8 years, we've accomplished amazing things. We've been through some really hard times, and we've had to make some really tough decisions in order to get the business to where it's at today. It hasn't come with sleepless nights. It hasn't come short of sleepless nights and incredibly turbulent times. And we're going to discuss how two guys who have never ran a business before, who didn't go to an amazing college, didn't have, all of the connections, were able to overcome every obstacle that was put in our way. So, Mr. Scotty, you're the COO over at Net Revenue. You have some questions for us today, and you have some insights into how we overcame some pretty challenging times in the business. I mean, there was some times where we didn't think we were going to make payroll. We didn't think we were going to still have clients. We didn't think we were going to be able to pay our bills. Yet every single hardship we were able to overcome. And I think in today's day and age in business, most people don't realize how challenging it can be to actually make money long term while protecting your reputation.
Right.
Because that's something that we've always, put at the forefront.
Yeah.
And, one of the main things that I want to highlight is it's so hard in business to find people who have integrity, who, despite us being able to make a lot of money in the last 8 years on a number of different things, have always chose to stay away from those scammy fuckers who essentially, just don't do right by their clients, don't have a great service, don't have a great product, and end up fucking over a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So I guess give a little bit of an intro into how we even got started in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's the best place to start. Also, it's just crazy that we've been doing this for 8 years and we've never done kind of unofficial.
No, we've never had a sit down.
We've never done a filmed kind of backstory as to how we started XY. So I think that's probably the best place to start. So we obviously met in college.
Yeah.
Right. You dropped out.
You didn't like me very much when we first met.
No, I mean, I kind of thought you were a junkie a little bit. Was the chasing the online money, chasing the business XYZ. Yeah. To me, I didn't know anything else other than school, right? And go to college, get a job. For us, obviously, for those watching, we're Canadian originally, so our college system's a little bit different. But we were in CJEP, Ambro. I think you did about a year, maybe just shy of a year.
Yeah.
I ended up lasting about 2.5 years, so I wasn't probably not much better. Yeah. But that's originally where we met, and then fast forward, obviously, your whole story where you started the landscaping company, you started the business, was I actually found out, and I don't know if you remember this, but I found out that you were running Stratton at the time, obviously, now Net Revenue, because I booked a sales call for a real estate coaching company.
Yes.
Oh, no, I didn't even book a sales. Yeah, I booked a sales call or I opted in. It was one of those two.
Yeah.
And then I get a phone call from 514 and it says, maybe Ambro on my phone. And I'm like, what the fuck? I haven't seen this guy in 2 years. Why is he calling me? And I answered thinking like, okay, well, I got to be quick because I got this sales call after in 2 minutes with this real estate guy. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I'm working on X. I don't even remember who's.
It was John Williams.
Oh, my God.
John
Williams.
So he was just blowing up in the real estate sector. And we had just recently changed our ICP to work with more real estate investors. Because I was fuck, there's this e-commerce, there's crypto, there's all of these nonsensical business models. And not to say you can't make money in them, but there was a lot of fucking scammers in the space. So we started to change our ICP towards going towards real estate education. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I saw that you had popped up on my CRM, and I look at your qualifications and everything. I'm like, this guy's so not fucking qualified, but I'm gonna take.
Did you remember me when you saw my name?
Of course,
yeah, you did.
Yeah,
okay,
because
we were. I don't know, bro. It was a fucking lifetime ago. I don't remember too well, but we were friends, but within a group, right?
Correct.
We weren't kind of one on one. I wouldn't have called you myself.
No. I don't think we had ever had an exchange or a hangout alone or anything of that nature. It was we had been coupled on a couple different projects.
Yeah, something like that.
And just to give context to everyone watching, we were studying building systems engineering, so it was a very small group to begin with. It was like a career program that you could either take one of two paths. You basically get your credentials and then you could go work in the workplace, or you could use that as kind of like a bridge
go to university
into architecture, further engineering, and so on and
for
so
another
forth.
4-year degree.
Yeah, exactly. But anywho, So we had been coupled in a couple different like classes,
Yeah.
and we were like in groups, but we had never like had many exchanges. But I knew who you were.
Yeah.
And I remember like seeing the call pop on my calendar. I'm like, this fucking unqualified faggot. It was to the extent where I took the call in bed. I was in bed. I didn't even get up. I was like, normally I would sit at my desk. I would do everything. I was literally on my phone in bed. Like, you know how I assume the position and I'm like on my belly. I was like just on my bed like this, like with my feet kicked up in the air.
Yeah.
Having the conversation with you.
Yeah. Then you call me and I'm like, Ambro? And you're like, yeah, I'm with, I guess John Williams' team.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? How? And then you're like, yeah, I do his sales for him. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was just starting to learn about, like, after that call, I bought like a course from Richard Garcia, who ended up being one of our clients for a long time.
Yeah.
But I just started kind of learn about like financial independence and real estate and stock trading. So I got like Richard's day trading course, for example. So I was still like, understood a little bit, but I didn't really get it. And then it wasn't until, and then we kind of, whatever, you DQ'd me. You're like, yeah, you're not a good fit. This is for people who are ready to invest.
Yeah.
And I was still in my planning stages. So I was like, okay, whatever, fuck this guy. And then a little closer. So then,
Yeah, a little closer.
yeah. So then from then on, I think it was a few months later, I'd seen you purchased the Mr. Wonderful testimonial. if you remember, which I didn't know you could just buy a testimonial at this time. So I was like,
that wasn't public knowledge, but now everybody
did I
knows.
just-
Yeah, you just fucking fully doxed me, but it's all good.
but literally everybody has this testimonial nowadays.
Well,
so-
yeah, now
like-
it doesn't matter.
But back then,
that's why we took it off the website.
Right.
It was never on the website.
It's like him just shot up. He's probably wearing his underwears under the camera. Just,
Yeah.
Ambro from Stratton. And so I remember I saw that on Facebook because I don't even think I had Instagram at the time.
Yeah.
And I saw it on Facebook and I was like, oh my God, this guy's like a billionaire. I'm like, Mr. Wonderful, this guy I've been watching on TV who's like a trillionaire is talking
Yeah.
about Ambro. I'm like, I got to call this guy and I got to see what's up. So I messaged you. I asked to come work for you. And you said no. You're like, no, it's not going to happen. We're not hiring.
Yeah.
And then some odd, like another 4 months later, you made a post that you were hiring.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's my shot. Messaged you again. 4 months of training before I could even string two words together. And then I got on the phone. So that's kind of the story of how I got involved, which was about, I think, maybe a year after you started the company.
Yeah. Yeah. We were about a year in, but like we say we were a company, but really it was like me and Daniel taking sales calls.
Yes.
And then us training some people on the side.
It was a lot of starting and restarting and starting. And
Correct.
Like,
Yeah. The first year to like probably year 3 was us getting to
Yeah, that makes sense.
100K a month, going back to zero, getting to 100K a month, going back to zero. I think in our first year, we ended with like 600K in total revenue.
Okay.
But it was like 1 month we would hit 120. The next month we would hit zero.
Right.
And it was a terrible time in the business, but we overcame it. And that's, obviously how you then started with us.
Yeah.
And I want you to go back to our first sales training and how much our sales training has evolved, because
yeah.
I think one of the major things that you've done in the organization is create systems and procedures and create us into a real business.
Right.
Because we've always had great talent. We've always been incredibly hardworking,
Yep.
but without the right system, you can't be able to really scale things long term.
Yep.
So I guess touch base on that real quick, because I think that's an important area of the business where it's like how we transitioned into where we're now able to manage 250 personnel.
Do I even say how I had to get my foot in the door to begin with at the company?
Oh,
So
so
yeah. So
go
for
ahead.
context, we were what, 21 years old?
21.
Obviously, it's very different now, but at the time, when I reached out to Ambro to come work for him, he was like, "Yeah, sure, as long as you pay me $3,000." So I'm 20 years old, 21 years old. I was working as a plumber. Anyways, I've got a whole other. I could go a whole other hour on that side of the equation, but I was working as an apprentice plumber. I was a professional fighter. I lost all my money in the stock market day trading. So he was like, yeah, pay me $3,000 US, mind you. And he was like, so I could give you my training. I'll train you and then you'll come up. Now, obviously at the time, we didn't have, or I say I wasn't in the company, but there wasn't like a hiring process. There wasn't a recruitment process. There wasn't a there wasn't an actual recruitment funnel built in.
Yeah.
So the only way you could assure, and even when I came on board, we still charged for like the first year.
Yeah.
The only way we could assure that we could actually get people who were serious, because it's a commission only role. So it's like if people just come in and out, brutal, right?
Yeah.
Was to charge money, give them really good training. And then, which a lot of people have a stigma around that, but every other industry you get into, you have to pay.
The entire
So it's
the
like
entire education industry is legitimately that now.
well, it's like even insurance, you have to get a license. As a realtor, you have to pay your broker every month or whatever it is. So
well, like Cole Gordon built a fucking $40 million business.
yeah, what are they paying? $8,000?
Yeah, off doing exactly that.
Yeah.
So we were just a little bit early and it was a little less organized, but anywho.
A little less organized. The training, well, this is the fun part, was the training was a little less formal. So I was added to a Facebook group.
Yeah,
the company infrastructure was a Facebook group.
100%. We didn't even have Slack at the time.
And there was like 8 people, 1 Australian guy, 1 African guy, and then a couple of Canadian guys that, sounded like they were like straight from the East End, like Italian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, the trainings then, I think we were just doing twice a week meetings at the time. This is before we really dialed in.
Yeah.
We were doing twice a week meetings at 10 a.m. Most of them would get canceled because you were taking sales calls for the first like 3 years. You were taking sales calls. So I was like, I got to close this guy. Every single meeting was just us listening to your calls.
Yeah.
So we just listened because you were the only one closing deals for the first bit. Obviously that, that didn't last for the whole 3 years, and then we would jump on, listen to a sales call. Everyone had their cameras off.
Yeah.
Even though we were literally 6 people on a Zoom call. It's like, what reason do you have to have your cameras off? And and that was it. I was still plumbing at the time. So I wanted to make sure I could make it to those meetings. So those meetings, I would do it while working. I would do it on the job site. So I put an AirPod in.
Yeah, I remember.
And I would hide it in my hard hat.
Bro, I remember you with a fucking hard hat on the job site.
Yeah.
Because we would ask you to role play and you would still be on the job site.
I would run away.
As a plumber, and you would like go behind pallets and then do the role play. And I was like shocked.
No, I really had to, like, this is one thing that a lot of people kind of, I get so disappointed when people on our team just like aren't committed to making things work.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, my aunt's nephew's dog broke his leg. I can't take calls today. Like I can't make it to the meeting. Whereas like I was on an actual job site with like trucks, like most noise you could imagine.
Yeah.
And I was on this meeting, and the second someone would call on me, because I also didn't want you guys to know I was on a job site, even though I knew you knew.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to lower the status of the calls,
Yeah.
So I would run off. Because usually I was on my own working, like I wasn't working with a team, because it was such a big job site that everyone was spread out doing their own thing. I'd run off, and I'd run off into either like a little room, or if we were outside doing like underground work, whatever it was, I'd go to the little porta potties, whatever, and then I'd unmute myself and I would do my thing. So I did that for almost a year.
That's fucking crazy,
of
bro.
working, literally taking sales. So I would finish working, I'd get home, it depends if I was working in Montreal, because sometimes I'd work 2-3 hours away, so I'd have a motel. But I'd get back, I would take sales calls for a few hours, then I would go train, then I'd come back and take sales calls for a few hours.
Well, touch base on that real quick, because I don't think most people understand the level of commitment that it takes to be successful. And for at least what I remember, you would wake up at like fucking 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Drive 6 hours to whatever fucking job you were doing in Saguenay or wherever the fuck it was. Work an entire shift, fucking lifting pipes, putting fucking pipes in little holes, and like doing the craziest shit.
Yeah.
And you had explained, some of your projects that you were working on, where, for instance, they dug a tunnel. You were the only one that fit in the tunnel, and you had to go into the tunnel to lay all the piping and do all the soldering and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So the first job I worked, I was in plumbing school. So I wasn't even a plumber yet. I was still in school. This is like before I was working at the company though. But one of the teachers came up to me, and I ended up working with this guy for years after on the side. But one of the teachers came up to me and said, hey, one of my buddies needs someone's help to rehang pipes on underground condo building.
Yeah.
Because all their storm drain pipes, it wasn't like the plumbing, it was the storm drains. So they're big, like, I don't know the measurements anymore, but like a foot to 2 foot big pipes in diameter. They're under the parking garage, and they had all like fallen and bananaed and whatever. So it wasn't draining, it was backing up in the parking garage.
Yeah.
And so the reason they needed me was because the plumber who was working on it was 300 pounds. Who I love this guy. He's like one of my.
He's not gonna fit in any tight spaces.
Yeah, it was not gonna fit down there. And so what they needed me to do was I had a giant drill. I had to get dropped into a hole and then army crawl in like water that was probably like 3 to 4 inches high. And so I had water up to like here.
Yeah.
I had to army crawl. I had to roll onto my back, and I could only drill above my face because I wasn't strong enough with the drill to go here.
Yeah.
And so I'd just be eating like all the cement and the cancerous dust. And I was wearing glasses,
just arsenic and lead just falling into your fucking every orifice on your body.
I would drill, I would hammer the anchor in, I would screw the thing in. I'd have to cut it because I'd have to measure on the spot. So I had also a bandsaw. I'd cut it. I'd screw the thing in. The thread wouldn't work. Scratch it. I'd screw the thing in, hang it on that side, and then I had to go over the pipe onto the other side. And do it again. And then. But hold on, the best part was they had to drill holes in the pavement every 10 feet in case I got stuck.
Yeah.
It's because they had to drag me out. But I never got close to getting stuck, but it was just like, that was the level of work I was doing, basically, for context.
So for anyone listening, take a situation like that. And that's an example of one of your jobs. I'm sure you did plenty of other ones. Maybe some of them were easier, some of them were worse.
Yeah, I was working for 3 years in plumbing, 4 years maybe. Yeah.
Now you're doing that. You're waking up at 3 a.m. You're driving fucking 6 hours, oftentimes in the Canadian winter, which is fucking horrendous, terrible. Then you get to the job site. You do that job. How long would you say your typical work shift was?
Usually I was doing industrial commercials like 8-9 hour days.
8-9 hour days. And then what would you do in the evening? You would fucking hop on a meeting. You would hop on calls.
Yeah.
You would go above and beyond what most people would even do in their typical job, and then do an entire job on the side to be able to provide for yourself and create the future for yourself. And this is where I think we get both like very upset with our team members, younger people that come to us for business advice, where they're like, oh, to your point of your kind of reference, my mom's sister's brother's uncle's cat across the street got in a car accident, and as a result, I can't do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And it's like that level of complacency when you compare it to people who have actually been successful. And I know there's the hustle culture, and you have to work hard and everything of that nature, and that's part of it. But I think it's the commitment to your goals, and that you're gonna do everything in your power to make it happen. Yeah. And like, can you find balance? Can you find happiness and peace and all that stuff afterwards? 100%. But I think a lot of people discredit the fact of how much sacrifice really goes into being successful. Yeah. And it's like your story is a perfect indication of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's why we can't tolerate a lot of that shit in our company. I think it's what the company's culture was built around. Yeah. Like we got a lot of fighters in the company. We got a lot of people that come from incredibly hardworking backgrounds.
A lot of military backgrounds.
A lot of military backgrounds. And the reality is like, because everyone's obviously social media pilled and whatever it is, they don't understand just the sheer amount of sacrifice that's actually required to build something amazing in such a short period of time. Yeah. And it was in your case, for example, probably about after a year and a half of when I was in the company, we started doing meetings 7 days a week, 10 a.m., 8 p.m. every day. We did that for 2 years. Yeah. Now our team, we do 10 a.m. meetings 5 days a week. Yeah. Like, most of our team does work 7 days a week. I'm super grateful for that. Most of them do. Yeah. But there was times in the company where it was like pulling teeth, getting people to do 6 days a week. They wanted to do 5 days, whatever it is. Yeah. Whereas us, we were doing 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Every single day. Cameras on, interactive, role plays.
It was when we started growing. And I think that's something maybe we should discuss over the course of this. But I think I want to bring it back home. I want to make it a little bit more tactical. Let's get into the operations side. Yeah. Because you really laid the groundwork for everything that we've done operationally, from being $1 million per year business all the way up to being a $20 million a year business. How have we made so many adjustments, pivots? How, if someone's, call it a brand new business owner, do they start to lay the groundwork and the foundation of how we build the ops infrastructure to be successful in a company? Because our ops procedure works in every single company that we go into. It's not just, hey, this only works in real estate, this only works in funding, this only works in credit, this only works in commercial, this only works with a number of different industries. It works with every industry. So I guess lay the foundation as to your procedure as to if a new business owner is wanting to learn, okay, how do I start to take my operations a little bit more seriously?
Yeah.
How do we start to build the infrastructure?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, we did it just through like a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Right. It was just a lot of like, well, hey, this is a problem. This is a choke point.
Yeah.
Let's put all our energy towards solving that problem, solve it, delegate it, document it, SOP it,
Yeah.
and then move on to the next one. Right. And then often it was like, oh, that's not the right way to solve it. Let's go back. Let's try again. Whatever it was. For us, though, obviously, because we're a sales organization, at the very beginning, the standardizing and the operations that we really needed was all sales operations.
Yeah.
Because for up until like 2 years ago, we didn't have anything in the company other than salespeople,
Yeah.
right? Except for myself and you,
Yeah, pretty much.
right? Until Daniel got off the phones and started, building a recruitment division, XYZ.
Yeah.
So for the first 2 years where I was COO, but I was still kind of taking sales calls as well,
Yeah.
the operation was really just about building the most dialed in sales process possible.
Yeah.
And the most dialed in training process.
Yeah.
So that we knew we can get guys, because we didn't have the best recruitment at the time, so we had to lean heavily on our training. Whereas now it's like kind of reverse. Like now our training, we don't have to lean as heavily on it because we find amazing people,
Yeah.
right? Back then, we had no idea, right? We weren't even running ads. We was just
Yeah.
like whoever decided to message us that day was like, yeah, you're hired. Come, we'll give you 3 months of training. So with the big pivot, and I think this is what started to kind of separate me from a lot of the other people in the company, was I would start to identify, one, what are things that you're not good at as a CEO, or not that you're not good at, but things that you don't give time to because maybe you don't prioritize it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if you dialed in, you'd figure it out. But
Yeah.
start to realize that, and then start to realize like, well, what's actually slowing us down or holding us back?
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't ask for permission. I would just start to solve it. And in a lot of cases, like if I needed to, purchase a system or XYZ, and I was like, I wasn't even sure if it was going to work, I wouldn't even bother you. I would just pay for it myself and test it. And, I started to realize one of the first system that I built in the company was how we build CRMs,
Yeah.
right? Because for the longest time, we'd always rely on the client or the marketer to manage the CRM. And it was a big choking point because we didn't control the data. We didn't control the operations. We would just hope we got leads and hope we closed them. And so one of the first things I did was one of the marketers we were working with, I jumped on like multiple calls with them and I learned exactly how he builds the CRMs.
Yeah.
So then new client came on board. I was not jumping on that account. I had no business jumping on that account, but I'd reach out to you. I'd be like, hey, let me help get this set up. I would jump in, I would set up the CRM. I would, whatever, watch YouTube videos, whatever it was. And then from then we had a really dialed in CRM. We had like great smart lists. We had great automations. We had great deliverability on emails and SMS. And already that now is like, hey, we could actually start charging for this.
Yeah.
Right. So now I'm like, one, not only solving bottlenecks, but improving my value.
Yeah. You're creating revenue in the organization.
Yeah. And then, the next big thing that we tackled or that I tackled was the data.
Yeah.
We were flying blind for a long time.
Yeah.
We had Plecto, but then when we switched CRMs, we didn't have Plecto anymore.
Yeah, correct.
So there was like a 6-month period where we had no data. And then so I was like, okay, well, I don't know how to build reporting dashboards, so let me just do a Google sheet and manually.
Yeah.
And so every Sunday I would sit down with my girlfriend and I would get all the numbers from the business and manually report them. By this point, though, I was officially COO, so it wasn't but I would, because I had all the accesses, but I'd manually report them. I was about 3 to 4 hours a day on a Sunday. I'd fill out the sheets. I'd take screenshots. I'd send them to you. I'd say who's top 3, whatever, underperforming, whatever it was. And then the next thing that we really started to systematize was, aside from like the training, because that's mostly where you kind of jump, which I'll let you touch on that. But the next thing was like our database and reporting.
Yeah.
So I learned how to write in SQL and learned how to do an actual data before ChatGPT, before there was AI. I had to actually watch YouTube fucking videos and read how to do this thing.
Yeah.
My brother's a software. He's our CTO now.
Yeah.
And I did it all without him. And then when he first came in the company and looked at it, he was shocked. He was like, how did you learn how to do it? I was like, I don't even know what I did. But I built a whole database for all of our data, for all of our numbers, for all of our invoicing. I automated the invoicing. I automated the data. And I could only do that after hours because during hours I was taking sales calls.
Yeah.
So that project for me took about 3 months because I was, stupid. I couldn't figure. I realistically would have taken someone competent a week.
Well, it's like that wasn't your skill set or expertise.
I was learning it, yeah.
But I think that's an important lesson for people here, especially if you want to own your own business or provide value to a business. It's like you got to be creative and you got to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And it might fall outside of your skill set, but the great thing about humans in general is that we're able to fucking adapt and learn and be malleable. And I think with AI and everything that's going on in the economy right now, you need to be adaptable.
Yeah.
You need to be malleable. You need to be able to adjust to what your company needs or what your business needs.
Yeah.
It's not what you feel like doing or what you feel competent in. Sure, there's probably people that you could pay to be able to solve said problem for you, but maybe you're not at that financial position.
Or even then, you outsource it and you don't understand it and you can't maintain it.
Well, I think outsourcing is not a luxury of the poor. And we were not rich when we were trying to figure this all out. So it's like you need to be able to build shit. Yeah. It's not optional. And I think a lot of business owners just assume, well, hey, I'll get this business partner, or I'll get this recruit, or I'll hire this person, or I'll outsource it here. And they're kind of left blind when running this system in their business because they don't understand it. They have no competence in it, and they didn't build the skill set to maintain it and evolve it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and that's not to say you shouldn't lean into your skill sets. As a business owner, you have to lean into your skill sets, but you also have to meet the company where it's at.
Yeah. 100%.
And you have to become the leader or the type of individual or operator that it needs.
Yeah.
And that for me, I think I could become whatever it needed. You know, before working at the company, I'm the kind of guy that, like, if I couldn't get my TV on the first try, I would throw the remote against the wall and give up. You know, I was not tech oriented whatsoever, but I was more than you, you know? So it was like the company needed it. I was like, I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And if I didn't do that, like I would never be in this position that I'm in now.
Yeah.
Right. But I want to hear on your side, because I think I had less involvement on the sales training aspect.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest evolvements that we did was like we got a training software. We started training our team. And without that, like none of that operations would have even impacted. So like when did you start to change that? Because I remember it was like the Brad Lee event or Andy Frisella.
Well, the biggest thing is obviously there was a ton of, sales influencers in the space.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest hacks that I could give any young business owner is like, if you want to succeed, it's replicate people already where you want to be. Whatever they're doing that's competitive in the market, figure out a way to dissect and reconstruct their process and be able to integrate that into your business. Yeah. Because now you don't just have one competitor that you're trying to replicate. You have a multitude of different businesses that all have great business fundamentals in one area or another. Right. So we just looked at the biggest sales organizations, the best sales professionals, and we tried to replicate their process. Right. And that's where we started to create a system behind it. And I think that's where we started to finally have success, because now we put reason and rhyme behind what we were saying on the phones, and the psychology that went into it, the process that went into it, the scripting. Yeah. I mean, we were against scripts for a very long time, but I think we developed something that was kind of a middle ground with the flowchart process. So that's where things really evolved. But what was really fundamental to that change, and we kind of skipped over it, was when I hopped off the phones for the first time. And that was the biggest turning point in the business, which allowed me to not work in the business, but rather on the business. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the weeds of fulfillment. And our company was unique in that it was sales oriented, and we help businesses with sales. So when it came to the sales fulfillment side of the equation, when you have one of the top performing sales reps, which I was at the time, to take me away from the revenue generating activity of actually fulfilling our product, that was a really tough sell. Yeah. Both to you guys, both to myself. At the time, I was generating about $60,000 a month in commissions. Yeah. That was the vast majority of my income, because of course the company wasn't profitable at the time. Yeah. So I needed that income to stay afloat. And it was only after I had consulted with a couple of mentors where they're like, your company is never going to grow unless you step out of the driver's seat right now. Yeah. And that's where I had to say, okay, I am going to forego all of this revenue, all of this opportunity, in order to go all in on the systems and the operations of the business, and to also cast the vision of where we need to go. Yeah. Because up until that point, we had no real direction. There wasn't any, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. There wasn't any, we were still the Stratton sales agency at the time, which that's a fucking stain on my record. But anywho, it was only at that point that we really started to make headway in the business. And that was probably around what, year 2, year 3, roughly?
Yeah, I would say, it was between those two exactly.
Yeah.
No, I would say that shift that you'd made, I mean, I always talk about there was like 3 to 4 impactful moments where I knew in that moment that everything was going to be different.
Yeah.
And that was the first one.
Yeah.
I remember watching that from the outside. I was not hitting my income goals by any stretch of the imagination, right? And I was kind of on my own because you were taking 12 sales calls a day, right?
Yeah,
like
if not more.
I was kind of on my own. I was doing outbound. I was calling realtors and cold calling that they didn't even opt in, like pure cold calling realtors trying to sell them $1,000 a month marketing packages, completely on my own. And then the day when you dropped our biggest client, because he only wanted you on the phones, he didn't want anyone else.
He didn't want to recruit any of our other sales reps on the account.
Yeah, and you sacrificed $1 million a year in personal income. Because you said, I spoke with this mentor and he said that if I don't do this, I'm holding the company back. And I refuse to hold you guys back from hitting your goals. And you went all in on scaling the company. That was when I was like, this shit is for real. And it was not long after was when I quit my job. And then I went all in.
Yeah, it's true.
Because it was like, I realized, I'm like, well, if the founder's doing it, if the CEO's doing it, and he's going back to zero to invest into us, why wouldn't I be willing to do that for myself?
Fuck, I have to give myself a pat on the back.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I forgot about it, but
I probably still would have quit my job just because I hated it and I almost drove off the road 100 times.
I think that's a good lesson because a lot of founders aren't willing to do that. And it's like, well, then no shit, your company's not going to grow.
Well, it's so many people just aren't willing to do what they expect their team to do.
Well, I love how the whole cornerstone of this conversation that we're having, because we didn't really put a script together or any talking points. We're kind of just riffing. But the whole cornerstone of this entire conversation is sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice their current situation for what they could potentially gain as a result.
Yeah.
And I think that's the number one thing you need to do if you want to achieve success. I kind of put caution to the wind when I tell people it's all about hard work though. In the beginning stages, it's all about hard work.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it for the long haul, I think that's where you have to have a more balanced approach and enjoy what you do.
Right.
One of the things that we've always done is we have always made comedy the center of our company.
We've always had fun.
We've always had fun.
But even when we were in the seasons of just fucking drilling and two meetings,
Correct.
We had fun.
Yeah, we always worked hard and we continue to work hard. But I think a lot of people, and there's a lot of the hustle culture online of you should hate your life.
Yeah.
And I think that's terrible because you're going to get to the end, you'll have all of this money, and the last thing that I want to tell myself is, wow, I spent my days and all I accomplished was making money.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a life well lived. I think it should be impact focused. It should be, how do we create prosperity? How do we make money? Of course, I want to make money. I'm not in this because I'm fucking Mother Teresa or anything of that nature. I'm sure you're not as well. We're here to make money, don't get me wrong, but it's also about enjoying the process as well. It's about enjoying business. It's about being enthusiastic enough to want to learn, to want to succeed, to want to be able to perform for your customers.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fucking good lesson to everyone that's listening.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in those seasons where we were just we'd jump on meetings sometimes and it was a slow week and you just rip us to shreds. You give us a complete ripping because it was needed, right? But then the ripping was done, meeting was done. We'd go right back to just having fun, and we'd go right back to sometimes when we meet up in person, we just would laugh for hours, and then we get back to work, and then we'd, you know what I mean? So yeah, if that wasn't there, who knows how long we could have done that for? Yeah, and are still doing it. Even with 150 plus person team, still doing it to this day, still having fun, but we show up every single day, we build every single day, we step outside of our comfort zone every day. Yeah. Even at this size now.
Yeah. I want to repivot the conversation a little bit back towards operations because a lot of people are scared right now surrounding where do companies go with AI.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of different products that you can use out there. There's a lot of different, AI methodology surrounding, the Claude bots and AI assistants and everything of that nature. And I would say 90% of it is fucking dog shit ass, useless fucking
fear-mongering garbage.
Yeah, it's useless garbage. But then there is that 10% of actual applications that we're able to integrate into our business that has saved us a ton of fucking money.
Yeah.
Like you were telling me, we saved on payroll alone, what was it, 143,000?
134,000.
Okay, fuck.
Per month.
I'll always give a little 10% boost. It's like, I don't even know. I thought I was undershooting it, but I still overshot. But still, like 100, what is it, 30?
134,000 per month, which is
134,000.
what is that per year? 1.3.
Yeah, we saved $1.3 million in this coming year.
Yeah.
By integrating AI into the business.
And that's not even factoring in the opportunity, not the opportunity cost, but the opportunity generated by how more effective our team can be.
Yeah. Right.
So in the reality is like we're going to earn a lot more.
Okay, but talk about
Let's get tactical.
Yeah. Let's talk about how we did it though.
So a couple things. And obviously you'll talk about this more on the training you're doing on this upcoming week. I don't know if this will be out before then, but a couple of things. One is we aren't implementing AI so that we can stop working. And we aren't implementing AI so that our team
so I actually have a bone to pick with people who use AI so that they could just be lazy fucks.
Kick their feet up.
Yeah, no, but that's essentially what it's used for. It's everyone's developing these Claude bots so that they could do absolutely nothing and be fat, lazy fucking cunts that don't accomplish anything.
Right.
And it's like, no, this is to amplify your work and make you actually more efficient and more tactical when it comes to completing your operations, when it comes to completing your sales calls, to your overall business.
Yeah. And that's the difference. The people who look at it that way and who look at being more at optimizing and 10xing their output is the difference between someone who actually builds strong AI systems and somebody who strings together bullshit that doesn't actually work. And they spend all their time working on it and they forget about their business and they don't grow their business. Right. So that was, I mean, obviously, like this goes out to Shiloh, our CTO, because that was, I mean, we're watching the Instagram videos. We're not very technical. And we're like, hey, we got to do this. We got to do this.
There's this new fucking thing. Shiloh, fucking make it happen.
And it's our CTO, who's my brother, is just like, guys, you're retarded. That's not at all how it works. But because I love you guys, I'll check it out anyways. So ultimately, we just started trial and error. We tried our best to be at the forefront, but also understanding that if you test every single thing, like the opportunity cost is too high. So in the areas that we've really implemented, and we even when we say we've cut the payroll, it's not that AI has replaced people. It's that our top performers have replaced the bottom performers because our top performers can accomplish way more.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's just the reality, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So for us, the first area was in our like sales coaching.
Yeah.
All of our calls get analyzed by AI. All of them get graded. All of them get feedback. We built into our internal like software that we use SalesView for dashboards and reporting. Whereas now is like my sales directors, my leaders can now manage their team more effectively. In turn, can manage more people.
Okay.
So the amount of money I save just from the
And what are like some similar tools that if someone's running a sales operation or they're just trying to get their sales calls analyzed, like, we can obviously pitch you fucking guys about SalesView. But like, let's say they don't want to use SalesView because they hate us and they think we're pieces of shit. What other tools would they be able to use to accomplish the same goal? So
a lot of people are using like Fireflies and a Fathom, but the issue with those is that they're meeting assistants. They're not sales trained.
Okay.
Right. So I would say that probably the best one in the marketplace that I know of that's sales trained is Gong.io. But you're spending like, thousands and thousands of dollars a month.
So that's more for high level sales teams. Is there like some AI software tool that you know of that people would be able to use?
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
I think probably Kendo would. Kendo, I think they accomplished that.
Yeah.
They have like a sales coaching and you could role play with the AI and I'm pretty sure it can specialize. So like we know Luke, obviously.
Yeah, Luke's going to appreciate the shout out.
Yeah.
Luke,
so, I mean, we use him.
Give us an affiliate link so we can get paid for the shout out.
Yeah. So I think Kendo's probably a better bet. And then like Gong is like much more, I feel like more enterprise level.
Yeah.
But we had to build a solution for where we were at, which was like, we already had our dashboard software. We already had our sales view.
Yeah.
And then so we're like, let's build it into there. So every single call gets graded. If I'm a director now, I don't have to sift through every call to find like my outliers and to find like to do my audit process.
Yeah.
I just get notified when things are below KPI, when things are above KPI.
Yeah.
That was the first place we did.
Okay.
Then now how do we make our salespeople more effective? So now we've been testing this for the last 3 months, but as of the last month, they don't have to update data anymore.
Yeah.
Our salespeople can just focus on talking to people.
Yeah.
They don't have to update their pipeline. They don't have to leave
That
notes.
one was fucking huge. I mean, I've been pressing for that for a very,
Yes.
very long time. I was like, guys, stop making the salespeople work more. It's like they're never going to update their data. And just because I was a salesperson who didn't update data, because, you know, when you're fucking closing deals, fuck you. I don't want to update your data. You update my data.
Right.
So...
yeah, that was a big one. That one that probably didn't really save us payroll, but gave us way more accurate data.
Yeah.
Timely data, efficient data. So now it's like all the sales calls are automatically done.
It also creates better culture in the business, right?
Yeah, you
because
focus on crushing.
what happens when we set a KPI of, you know, we have people could be outside of total like updated volume, 5% deviation.
Yeah.
Meaning like if they have 100 calls, or
if 5 of those calls,
of those calls aren't updated, we're going to give them a pass. But if they're outside of that threshold, then they're outside of KPI, and then they could go into performance review and X, Y, and Z. So we end up penalizing top performers who, frankly, I would rather that person be 100% focused on revenue generating activities rather than just updating data.
Right.
So like it improves the culture because now we're no longer penalizing those people and they no longer look like the bad guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I would look like the bad guy a lot of times and the business owner would give me a lot of shit whenever I was selling for them because of data not being timely in terms of when I updated it and so on and so forth. But it's like, motherfucker, I'm generating you $400,000 a month. Go kick rocks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, and a lot of high performing salespeople feel like that. So having automatic data updating is a huge, you know, benefit for them.
Yeah, 100%.
So improves the culture as well.
Yeah.
But anyways, go on.
Yeah, so that didn't necessarily save us payroll, but huge operational lift.
Yeah.
Where we really saved a lot of payroll was our outbound systems.
Okay.
Right. So our outbound systems, where we've worked on this for the last like probably 9 months. Like we were pretty early to a lot of this, maybe even a year. It's only been the last few months where we've actually started to be able to like operationally save payroll because it's more effective. Is through the outbound dialing, completely done with AI.
Yeah.
SMS nurturing, completely done with AI. DMs done with AI.
Yeah.
So now, like, don't get me wrong, we still have appointment setters, but for the same amount of sales volume, we have a quarter.
Well,
of
how
the
many
appointment setters.
SDRs did we have at one point? Because we had
We had up to 130, I believe.
130 SDRs?
I could be between 100 and 130.
Okay.
I'd probably at any given moment, if you count the ones that were in training and like boot camp, whatever. Now we're down to, I think, 27.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
It might even be less at this point. I don't know. I haven't checked. I
that's
haven't checked the
just
HR channel.
Yeah,
today.
but that's just by making people more effective.
Yeah, but also the 27, the 30 that we have now, they earn way more. Our average income per SDR is like way higher. Back then, it was really low, and we weren't happy about it, and we tried to adjust it. But you know what it allowed us to do is like the bottom performers that just drag people down. They wasted leads. They just held us back. We didn't need them anymore for the purpose of manpower.
Yeah.
And so we got to get those people off the bus, you know, and that's just, were they hard conversations? Absolutely. They're people's livelihoods, but you have to realize that in today's economy now, in today's business world, if you cannot be the top performer, like there's just not that much value for you anymore.
Yeah. So I think, listen, it's going to create more opportunities for people. I don't think there's a world where everyone should just try to be number one. I don't think that should be the case.
Okay.
I think, yes, the vast majority of money is going to go to the people who are actually good at what they do.
Right.
But I don't think every single person needs to aim to be number one. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's something that people should strive towards. Being number one is a lot of fucking work. Yeah. And it's
you're just saying that to keep everyone else at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, motherfuckers, don't try
Don't
hard.
even try.
I'm like trying to be a politician right now. But anywho, no, but in all seriousness, like I don't think everyone's destined to be a business owner. I've had this opinion for a very long time. I don't think everyone should be in the fucking NBA either. Like I don't think everyone should be number one.
Yeah.
What should people do if they are not able to be number one? I feel like that's a good conversation to have.
What do you think? I don't even know. I can't even fathom not trying to be number one. I'm just too competitive.
No, but I think in a lot of cases, there's going to be an economy that gets put in place where people just want to live a normal life. Like the American dream is completely dying. There's not really I go to work, I provide for my family, I'm able to have the leisure time. And we see it in our own organization where
Right.
there's people who, yeah, maybe they're super skilled, they're super competent, but they don't want to work
Yeah.
70 hours a week, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And like
Or they
the-
just want to seek fulfillment
yeah,
through arts,
and
through
that-
other things.
And that is all right. Like that's not
Yeah,
a
I
bad
agree.
thing.
100%.
How could those people be able to still succeed in the marketplace? Is there a world for that even?
Well, I mean, I think their definition of success is different, though. Right? So,
Yeah,
there's,
but in the current economic climate that we're going to go into, like there's no middle ground. There's
Right.
either your dirt poor poverty
yeah. So you're
line.
saying, how are they going to,
Yeah.
survive?
Do you think? And this is just purely to have a. Is this Wade? Wade, just
Yeah.
walk in.
You could come in, bro. The thing is, though, I don't even know how I would answer that. I don't know what they should do.
I know. That's why I wanted it to be a compelling, like.
I don't even know
to
what they
ask.
should do. What would they do?
It's a great question.
I think they're gonna
Yeah.
get. I think they're gonna get universal basic income, and then they're gonna get food stamps and
All right.
or go into the trades.
We live? Cool. I mean, listen, I'll wrap it up here. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Our CGO, Mr. Wade Marcoux, decided to roll through the door.
Slight
So anyways, that topic of conversation was kind of going towards the dead end because, frankly, we don't
Yeah,
even
we have no
fucking
idea.
know what people should do if they're not trying to be number one. I think, listen, you're going to have to be malleable. You're going to have to work incredibly hard. And it's just the reality of the situation that we're put into.
Yep.
And I don't think there's any way around it. I want to try to be like well-rounded in
Yeah.
my opinions, but the thing is that the main focus should be to get ahead as soon as possible and have fun while doing it.
Yeah.
And I think if you could accomplish that, you're going to have an amazing life. You're going to be able to build an amazing company. And if you're able to pivot, if you're able to learn skills, and you're able to sacrifice like everything that we've discussed throughout this, little kind of sit down
Powwow.
fireside chat that we've been having.
Yeah.
People realize that, listen, like you have to put an emphasis on being a well-rounded business owner, well-rounded employee in a business, well-rounded, executive. And no matter where you are in that list, I think the crucial point is that you're going to have to sacrifice where you're at now for where you want to go. I mean, that's without a shadow of a doubt. You're going to have to be malleable. You're going to have to be ops focused.
Yeah.
You have to think in systems. It's not just, hey, I'm going to wing it.
Yeah.
I don't think that works anymore, frankly.
Yeah.
I think there's too much infrastructure into people's decision-making processes now surrounding how you can utilize many of the LLMs and, all of...
You'll get beat by the guys who are trying to build repeatable processes and systems.
Yeah.
You will get beat by them if you're winging it or
Yeah.
just like doing the hustle culture 100 times out of 100 because you can't outpace them anymore.
Yeah.
You could before, now you can't.
Yeah.
Right.
So you just have to get ahead in that regard.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time to when you first joined the company, I mean, what piece of advice would you give yourself in that moment in time?
I would have probably gone all in sooner. I think 100%. I waited too long to go all in, and I missed out on. I didn't miss out because I'm exactly where I want to be.
Yeah.
Right. But, yeah, I would have just taken a shot on myself sooner.
Yeah.
It's like deep down, that I can do more, and I knew that I could do more, and I knew that if I had more time to give, I would get more out of it. But I was just too afraid to take the leap and make the change. And even like the day I quit my job was on a whim. I didn't plan it.
Yeah.
I was like, I almost drove off the side of the highway from falling asleep. I
Yeah.
pulled over, I called my boss, and said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think if that hadn't happened, who knows? I could have been in there for another 2 years. So if I could go back in time, the number one piece of advice I give myself was like, just believe in myself sooner, take a fly on myself sooner.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that could happen is you try, you fail, and you're back where you fucking started anyways.
Yeah. What do you have to lose?